Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Robbins, and welcome to Life, Death, and the Space Between podcast. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and medium, and here we explore life, death, consciousness, and what it all means. Today, I feel like I have an extra special episode for you all. This episode is going to air on Valentine's Day, February 14th, which has significant meaning to my guest today. And so when I looked at the calendar, when we talked before, and I looked at the calendar, it was perfect because I always air a ghost story on a Monday. Valentine's Day fell on a Monday this year, and this story just aligned perfectly. So when we talk about synchronicities, I believe this is yet another one in this beautiful story that you're all going to hear. So today, my special guest is Ricki Lake. Yes, Ricki Lake. Ricki is an American actress, television presenter, and producer. She's known for her lead role as Tracy Turnblad in the 1988 film Hairspray, for which she received a nomination for the Independent Spirit Award for Best Female Lead. She is also known for her talk show, Ricki Lake, which broadcast internationally from September 1993 until May 2004. When the show debuted, Lake was 24 and credited as being the youngest person to host a syndicated talk show at the time. When her show wrapped final production, Lake went into several other business ventures. Her previous documentary, The Business of Being Born, was about home birth and midwifery. Her current documentary is The Business of Birth Control, and it's out now. Welcome, Ricki.
Oh, thank you. Nice to talk to you. Happy to share my story.
You too. So we talked before, and Ricki's lucky I didn't show up on her doorstep to record this live, but I didn't. So here we are via Zoom. So tell us your story. People might have seen bits and pieces. It was in the New York Times. It was in People, but it didn't dig into what really happened after the death of your ex-husband and meeting your current husband. So can you just start us from the beginning?
Sure. So I was married to Christian Evans. Christian Evans was my second husband, and he passed away. It'll be 5 years on February 11th of this week. It'll be 5 years, which I cannot believe. And he succumbed to years of struggling with bipolar and depression, and ultimately took his life. Which took me down to the lowest. I mean, I was in a state of total despair. There were days I didn't want to go on without him. And I have two children, not with him, but two, at that point, teenagers. I think my son, sort of 15 and 19 when he passed. And, he and I had a very, very special connection. He was very spiritual. He always, when we were together, when we got married, he said we are together for something greater than just us. And I didn't understand what that meant. But when he left, and I mean, the whole bipolar illness, I didn't really understand what I was getting into when I fell in love and married someone who is bipolar and so not medicated, or at least not medicated for most of the time I was with him. But he has shown himself to me all the time. I feel his presence. When he died, so I don't know how to sort of shift into the story. When he died on the 11th of February in 2017, I was actually in London when he took his life. He took his life on the 11th at 1:11. He sent the note, the suicide note, to his sister. He didn't send it to me because I'd already had my closure with him a few days before. So I don't know how, it's a kind of a long story. I don't know how you want me to
take as much time. So when he sent that, do you believe he sent that note at that time purposefully because of his spirituality?
100%. So 11/11, I didn't know that. I mean, I knew through the course of our relationship, he would always screenshot 11/11. Like it was just, and I didn't know what it really meant. And then I started looking into it after he passed away. And to him, it meant eternal soulmates. And that's my interpretation. It's a sign. So when I see 11/11s all the time. And including like when I went backwards, it's like hindsight's 2020. You go back, you lose the person, and it's like, oh my gosh. So today is sort of the 5-year anniversary of the last night we spent together. So I just saw it in my memories on Facebook. Facebook, I have a lot of like things about it I don't like, but it's really nice to see these memories come up. And so February 7th, today's the 7th, right?
Yep.
Was the last time we had spent the night together. And he had come through LA. He wasn't living here at the time. He had moved away when he was dealing with his last bout with an episode. He was living in Arizona, and he reached out to me and said, "Can we get together?" And I hadn't seen him in months. He'd had his last, the episodes were very extreme. And then the last time I said, I can't do this anymore. But it was months had passed, and he had said, "Can I come? Can I see you?" And all my friends were saying, "Don't see him at night. Don't have alcohol. Don't bring him home. Don't have sex with him.
Right.
Like, see him for coffee in the day, go to a public place." But of course, I didn't listen to any of my friends. I didn't listen to my therapist. I did bring him home. I did, and we had this incredible goodbye, which I didn't know was goodbye at the time. Mm-hmm. And so he passed away. So it was a few days later when he waited for me to be in London, I believe. And it was also the significant. He took his life, and it was after the fact. I came home. I knew he was gone when my sister-in-law sent me the note. I knew he was gone. Like, I knew there was no sense in hoping that he was. I knew this was it, but we couldn't find his body. And so I called. I used to do my show, and I used to have psychics on all the time.
Right. And
I'd become friendly with a woman named Maureen Hancock, a very, very talented medium. And I called her for help.
Who is no longer around, right?
No. So, she is. Maureen is.
She
Maureen.
is.
She's not the second psychic. There were two profound connections I had with psychics, more, but these were the two most mind-blowing. Okay. So I reached out to Maureen in a state of total panic, and I said, "I need your help." And she immediately knew it was Christian. She knew he was gone. And he told her, we couldn't find his body. I mean, it's like I had assumed he was in a hotel or a motel, and that he had overdosed on pills, because that's something he'd always, I was aware of. That was a plan, but that wasn't the case. And so Christian told Maureen where his body was before he was found. And not 10 minutes later, the police called and told me exactly what he had said to her. So it was unbelievable to me. It was beyond like a coincidence. To me, it was a direct message from him. He also told her he keeps saying he wants you to have the ring. He wants you to have the ring. And I knew when we had seen each other in LA that on the 7th of February, I was like, "What are you doing in town?" He said, "Oh, I have some jewelry in a pawn shop." Now, I've never dealt with a pawn shop, but he was a jewelry designer, and he was he had a lot of access to jewelry, and he also had his wedding band that he had made for us. So I thought it was the wedding ring. Anyway, cut to, I put what he had told me and what Maureen said about he wants to have the ring. And on Valentine's Day, almost 5 years ago, I went on a wild goose chase and found his ring, his wedding band.
In a pawn shop?
In a pawn shop. I just put all these clues together. I knew where he was living when he was last in LA, when he had moved out from me. He was living downtown. I knew the location, and I just went looking. I Googled pawn shops in that area, and it was the first one I went to. I brought a wad of cash. I'd have never dealt with a pawn shop, so I didn't know how it worked, but they won't tell you what they have. And basically I had to show them the death certificate. I had to show that I was his partner. I had to and I got his wedding ring on Valentine's Day. And almost 5 years later, here in my house, the night I moved into my home that I'd been building and I bought with Christian when I was, 7 years ago, I was moved in with my new love, Ross. Ross spontaneously proposed to me on Valentine's Day, our first night in this house. And again, it was like Christian saying he wants me to have the ring. He wants me to have in this case, it was my engagement ring to Ross. And Ross wasn't planning to propose. He didn't have a ring at that time, but he felt this urge come over him. And it was like, I believe in every cell of my body that Christian Evans, my beloved, who could not stay in human form on this, this time and on this earth. He is my protector. He is my angel. He is looking out for me. He is orchestrated much of, I think I've manifested a lot of my beautiful life, of course, I take ownership in that, but I believe I have my person on the other side that is absolutely as devoted to me now as he ever was. And I feel him. And I see him in my husband. There's times when I feel like I'm embodying Christian. I feel like his personality, his like, I just feel that I am like that he is in me. And, you know?
So can you walk us through some of the signs and especially your experience with that psychic medium, medium that you saw?
Yeah. So Maureen is that first psychic, and she she gave me such a gift. And it was a year after the death of Christian. It was the end of January of 2018. It was coming up on the 1-year anniversary of his death. I had a reading with a woman named Patricia Michelle. She's
the one who's no longer
She doesn't practice anymore. She doesn't practice anymore. She's still alive. I'm a little bit in touch with her, but I don't speak to her or anything. I don't know what is going on with her health wise, but she doesn't practice, which is the biggest travesty, because she was a godsend, an angel like no other. And so I had a good friend that implored me to hire her to do a reading. And she's like, trust me. She will channel Christian for you, and you will speak to Christian for an hour. And I was just like, rolling my eyes, like, whatever, I know psychics. They're always on my show. They're great, but I'm not there's no way. And it was a lot of money. And she's like, trust me. So I did this reading, and I made sure that this woman, I'm sorry.
What was your resistance, especially since you had been exposed to it so much and it was such a part of your life at that point?
I don't know. I guess, I had validation from other people that I just like, I didn't think that this woman could be as good as my friend was saying she was, I feel like I've seen good, and so I was just kind of cynical about it, but I did it, I paid the money. She had no way of knowing who I was. She didn't have my credit card info. She didn't know anything. She didn't even know my name. I said, I don't want to use my name because I'm famous. I didn't want her to have the opportunity to Google me. So I just went, she said, all I need is your middle name and your age. And I was like, okay. So all of it was on the phone. It wasn't on Zoom. And she immediately, I have the recording. I've listened to it. I've played it for 40 friends that all loved Christian. And it has given us all such peace. And validation, and the things he said, the details that he went into. So I said my name is Pamela and I'm 40, whatever. I was 48 years old, 47 years old. And he's like, that's not her name. He's like, that's not, and she does it through mental telepathy. So she goes, it's a sound alike. She's like, that's not. And so she goes, I'm asking him to spell it. And she's this elderly woman, she's like, I see the C, K-I. It's a Ricki or something like that. Is that, I hope I'm not butchering your name. And she's, she's like, is that it? I'm like, yes. And I'm crying. She's like, and then he brings up his son who, he brings up my children, Milo and Owen. He specifics, but then, that was mind blowing. Then he goes into who he was in a past life. So Christian was very entwined with Native American people. He grew up outside of an Indian reservation in New Mexico from the Four Corners. So he was a Native American in a past life in the Four Corners of New Mexico, and it described his brother who he had sacrificed himself in that lifetime for his brother, the detail and the connection. And that's why he's so connected to his people. Like there were things she could not have known about him that were so specific. He talked about taking his life, where he was when he took his life, what was going through his mind, what happened when he crossed over. He told me where he is now, that he is waiting for it. Talked about his sister Colette and his mother Pam, and Pam is not with Byron anymore. And like his father, the detail and it just was exactly what I needed to be able to begin to put my life back together. I was on this not self-destructive path, but I was just lost. I couldn't figure out a way to kind of be okay with losing my favorite person in this way, that I couldn't save him. I've my whole life, I have been very much the provider. I've been the maternal figure to many people. I take care of a lot of people, and I couldn't save him. And I did everything I knew how. I put every dollar I had and every therapist and every treatment and I was just like on this path to try to fix my guy. And, so this reading was the first, it took a year to find this woman. And I ultimately had 3 readings with her, and all of them were profound and beautiful. But once you had the first reading, that first mind blowing, like everything else was like, it was amazing. And this, wasn't like the first one. But
do you feel like you got answers as to why he couldn't be saved in this lifetime, or what that was about? Because I think a lot of people struggle with this, especially when someone dies by suicide, that they should have done something more, that they could have done something more, that they didn't do enough.
Mm-hmm. I never felt, obviously I was devastated to lose him, but I never felt like it was my fault. I never felt guilty. I look back on the last night I spent with him, which is today's the anniversary of that. Thank God I didn't listen to everybody and reject him in that moment. It would be a very different outcome for me. Like I would feel responsible. I would feel that I had something to do with him making that choice, but no, we had such a loving goodbye that I don't carry that weight of me, of the guilt or even the why. Like I didn't have to ask myself why, because I know why. He suffered every single day that he was here, as much as he was in love with me, and we had a really fun time. And we got to go to Ibiza together, our favorite place. And we had a really beautiful relationship, but he was miserable. He was in pain all the time. He suffered from chronic back pain, from migraines all the time, from learning issues, processing issues, like he struggled with a lot. And he was one of the most gifted, intuitive, instinctive, fun-loving, he
really was both of those things, which is so often the case with, serious mental illness like this. Is the creativity.
Like madness. It's like madness and genius, they go together. And, he did the best he could, and he stayed as long as he possibly could for me. And I believe him leaving was him sparing me and not leaving me, because he spared me from more hardship and pain. Because with him, what I hear, bipolar gets worse, gets worse. Each episode gets more extreme. And it was so traumatizing, the things he was doing, the behavior and the personality change. He became a different person that I didn't know. And I think sometimes, like, what would have happened if Christian was alive and we just weren't together? Would I have been able to move on like I have? I don't know the answer to that, but I do feel he's with me. He's just with me in a different way.
It sounds like it was so intense that there might not have been the opportunity to completely separate without this.
I don't know. I really don't know, but I do think, as painful as it has been, I tap into that feeling of where I was at 5 years ago. And I think about what the turnaround in my life. I just cannot believe that I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm the most comfortable in my skin. And so much of my journey has been a journey of like self-love, finding this real validation and appreciation of who I am through losing Christian, through loving myself the way he loved me. I think that set me up for me being ready to meet Ross, I think it's all.
Yeah. Tell us about how you met Ross, because this really is, I'm calling this a ghost story, love story, because that's exactly what this is. It's such a beautiful, it's the love that you had and still have for someone who's not embodied anymore. And it's the love that you now have for someone who is.
Yeah.
And you're holding both of those things.
Yes. And one of the things I love about, I love everything about Ross, but one of the things in the beginning of our relationship, I was able to share with him the recording of Patricia and Christian in that reading. And, it's an hour long, and it's, for anybody that's not connected to it, I would imagine it might be, moments of it's boring or it just
or what does this mean?
He wanted to listen to the whole thing. Like I was like, oh, I'll turn it off. He's like, no, I want to hear the whole, like he's secure enough in himself that he, isn't threatened by my love and my stories of Christian. He wants to hear more. He wants to know about this person that's so deeply affected me and changed me and made me who I am today in a lot of ways. But so Ross and I met during COVID. I mean, which is such a crazy thing when you're isolated and you're not seeing anybody. I mean, I would go weeks without seeing anybody, but I would go on a walk every morning. I would take my dog. I lived at the beach in the Marina Del Rey here in California. And I lived on the channel, and I would take my dog to the sand every morning for like a 2-mile walk. And I was on that walk, and it was right in the heart of the summer of 2020. And so it's when you're wearing gloves because you're afraid to touch anything. You're masked up, and you're. So I ran into someone I didn't know that well, but someone I knew, and I was just excited I was like, hi. And I was on and off dating someone else at that time. And she said, oh, how's it going with that guy? And I was like, oh, we're not together. She's like, well, what are you looking for? And I was like, well, in that moment, I just said, I want this, this, and this. I want someone who has their shit together. I want someone who doesn't want to have kids. And I want someone because I have my kids. Right. And I want someone who wants to have fun. Like I am all about fun right now. And she's like, I think I know someone. And so she just gave him my number, set us up on this blind date. I didn't really think anything of it. He's an ex-Mormon, ex-devout Mormon. He has 4 grown kids. And we went on our first date together, and it was not fireworks. It wasn't, he's 6'6", he's giant. And I had a shaved gray head, and I wasn't exactly his type, but we, stayed connected. And then he became a booty call of mine. So basically I was still dating the other guy, and I was seeing Ross on the side. Ross knew about the other guy, but I wasn't giving Ross a real chance. Mm-hmm. Ross was kind of my back burner, fun fling. And it was Halloween of 2020 when there was a blue moon. I don't know if you remember, there was a super blue moon. Mm-hmm. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone in my circle was like, oh my gosh, this powerful blue moon. You need to really be, aware something could shift. And that was the night that I saw Ross for the first time, like really without alcohol involved. And I just kind of saw him and I was like, wait a minute. And it was like a light bulb went off over his head. Like I just saw him differently. And that was it. That was when my heart started opening to him. And we've been together ever since. But like all the twists and turns to us meeting, I believe have been orchestrated by someone I believe is Christian, because we should never have met, even though we lived in close proximity. He's a lawyer. He's like not in my circle at all. He's so different from anybody I've ever dated in my life. Like I've never gone out with a professional. I've never gone out with someone that like owned his own home. Like that was like a novel, I'm used to the artist that needs help funding their whatever or writing their manifesto that no one ever gets to see. Like I'm used to that guy, the guy I need to fix, Right.
I was going to say this was someone you didn't need to take care of. You've taken care of people. And it's almost like Christian was the last.
Mm-hmm. I believe that. Yeah. Ross definitely did not need taken care of. And turns out I did need a little bit of taken care of. I've never been really taken care of in my life. And I used to pride myself on that was like a sign of like strength and, I'm this strong, independent woman, but it is really refreshing. And I think really healthy for me to be able to lean on someone and to have like a real partnership. This feels like the first real partnership in my entire adult life. And it's been bliss. I mean, I am in a state of like I call it grounded euphoria that I just, we wake up singing every morning. We so appreciate this chapter, this chapter in our lives. Our kids are out of the house. We're empty nesters. We've worked really hard. We've made lots of sacrifices for everyone. And now it's like our time. And it's I'm in the prime of my life for sure.
At 53.
At 53,
which is amazing.
I think I'm an example. Like I do think for women, for particularly women, because I'm a woman, I just think women who have whether they've gone through a divorce, they've gone through losing a loved one, there is hope and there are good men out there. And there, I think the key to it is really being open to it, keeping your heart open and really loving yourself, really, really really valuing yourself. Cause I think that this would never have happened without that piece.
And you did not circumvent the grief. So you felt that grief. You still feel that grief and that sadness and that loss. And it doesn't have to be one or the other. And I think that that's what's so beautiful about your story is that you don't have to let go of Christian to love someone else too.
Absolutely. I mean, that brings tears to my eyes. Yeah. I'm so lucky, I mean, I wish he would, he wasn't in the pain he was in. I wish he could have made it. But I understand, I get it. I know he is in a better place. I know he is at peace. I know he is. And I know he knows I'm okay, that I'm doing, because I was his angel when he was here. I made a pact with him. I knew he was never going to be able to provide for himself. I knew he was never going to be able to provide for me, or, he was ill. He was very ill. And I know he's not ill anymore,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He was very special. He would say he was an alien, and he was.
I bet he was.
He was not of this earth. He was, and Ross is he's an angel too. He's such a good man. And I freaking deserve him.
Right. You worked hard, and I think you've set it up for yourself. We were talking before. It didn't just appear for you, right? It's been a process that you've worked towards. And I think oftentimes people think, oh, she's lucky this just happened to her, but it didn't. And it sounds like you were doing the work the whole time along the way. You were processing the grief. You were looking at, why am I always the caretaker? What might I need, instead of just giving to everybody else what they need? And when Ross showed up, you could shift into being taken care of, not just caretaker.
But I didn't see it coming. It's like a lot of much of my life, I say I'm a manifester, but it's not conscious. It's like, I'm open to whatever's going to come, whatever the universe brings. But I did not see it coming, that this could be my life, that I could be this happy and this healthy. And that after going through what I went through, I mean, I think back, every day I would walk my dog after Christian died, and I would just force myself to smile at the sun. I would just be grateful, find something to be grateful for. I had to take care of my dog. My dog needed to go to the bathroom. I had to but it was literally one foot in front of the other, and just crying. And I was annihilated. And it wasn't just losing him to suicide. That was freaking the worst. But it was also the bipolar episodes that sort of came out of nowhere, where the person I loved the most, that loved me so much, would turn on me and call the tabloids on me. I mean, he was doing the craziest stuff to me. And the fact that I was able to get out of that, that feeling of despair, and that feeling of betrayal, and that feeling of just, not wanting to wake up every day, to where every day I wake up and I'm just we pinch ourselves. We literally jump up and down like little kids in our house, and just can't believe how blessed we are, So
you move in on February 14th.
It'll be 1 year.
2021.
Yes.
And then he proposes, and you just got married.
I got married a month ago. Yeah. On January 2nd, 1/2/22. And it was amazing. It's it all kind of, with COVID still being a thing, we ended up having a very, very small wedding. We had 23 people here in our backyard overlooking the ocean. And it was, out here we were having to.
Hence why you're lucky I didn't show up at your door.
Yeah, I know. It's such a beautiful spot, but the weather was great. We were having, I know you're in Chicago and you have your own weather stuff, but for us, it never rains. Well, we had torrential, PCH was closed because trees had fallen on power lines. That was happening 2 days before our wedding. So we, the skies cleared up and the sun, it it's like someone was looking after us, looking over us, because it was touch and go for a minute. We were doing it all outside because of COVID and the rain, so it just worked out beautifully. All of our children were able to be here, which was the only prerequisite for our wedding. We wanted, all 6 of our kids to be here and their partners. And then, one thing that happened during the wedding. So right before I was going to walk out, it wasn't a traditional wedding at all. We didn't do anything really traditional, but I did walk out from my bedroom where I'm sitting now. And I was, about to just meet Ross and start the ceremony. And right before that, so my stepdaughter, Cammie, had made us a playlist for our wedding. And it was like 9 hours of music of like different wedding songs. And I had added just a couple of songs, 2 or 3 songs. One of them was really meaningful to me. It's this weird, obscure song called Firefly. But it was my song that I played the summer that I brought Christian's ashes to Ibiza in 2017. I played it every morning for my friends and I. And so it was like sort of my anthem that summer. And that song randomly came on right before I was to walk out and start the ceremony with Ross. And I know, and no one can tell me otherwise, that it was Christian telling me that he was with me, that he was there. It was unbelievable. And yet I believe, I believe it was him saying, I'm here with you on this day. And Christian's ashes are here on my property as well. the 11 is so significant. I had him cremated in 11 different bags, and I brought him to different parts of the world. I brought him to Ibiza. I brought him to Burning Man, which was where we always wanted to go together. He's here in Malibu with me. And I gave some to his mom and to his sister. And yeah, it's just comforting. I mean, it's a knowing, and we don't lose our loved ones when they pass. They're still here. I think he's more present than he was when he was here.
I bet, because he shed the body that was so difficult, the body and the mind.
Yep.
That was so painful for him.
Yep. Oh, I'll tell you one other thing that happened just the other couple of weeks ago. So I have these starlights. I mean, I sort of want to walk you around my house and show you.
Oh my God. Yeah. If you all saw this house, it's magnificent.
It's not a big house. It's not like a mansion or anything, but it's just very, very, very me. It's very, I don't know, my experience when you showed it to me before, it's so warm and it feels so warm and welcoming that you just want to go and just be there. Nothing else. Like, when you're in LA, you have an open invitation to come over.
I'm coming.
Cocktails over there for sunset. But I have these starlights that are outside in my courtyard, and they're these big, they're in the trees and they're really beautiful. We were having trouble with getting the remote control to work. And my friend, who's my dear friend who knew Christian very well, is my landscape designer, and we couldn't figure it out. And I'm playing with the remote and it suddenly went on. This was like 3 weeks ago, went on. And at the same time, the lights for my outside that are attached to my main house came on. They are on separate everything. One is a totally different breaker than the other, but they came on the exact same time. And I looked at my friend John, I was like, that's Christian. And suddenly he got goosebumps all over his body, which Christian was an empath, and he always would be affected by the slightest thing. And he'd show me all these goosebumps. So I knew it was just Christian saying he's here. It was right after we got married. And I'm taking that to my grave because I know it.
Well, and what we talked about before when we chatted was that when you know it in your soul, you just know it to be truth. And that no one can take that away from you. And I think a lot of people try. I'm sure in the years that you interviewed mediums, that there were people who said, this is quackery, and there are some people who are not truly authentic in their practice, but there are a lot that are. And when they are, and when you connect on your own, it brings such peace and knowing.
Yes. And for me, it gave me my life back. I mean, I don't think it's like hyperbole. I believe like Patricia gave me such a gift. And I have to give credit to Robin, my friend Robin, who's just implored me. She's like, you have to get this woman to do a reading. And I'm devastated that other people don't have this opportunity, because I do think she was next level, like level. And And Christian was next level. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, I think it went hand in hand. I think she has these amazing gifts. And I think he has some major gifts wherever he is. Apparently he's in the third heaven, or at least he was.
Yeah. I was going to ask you where she said he was.
In the third heaven. And from what he understands, he has the opportunity to go up. But he feels at peace. He feels like he's himself again. You know, but he said the only thing is he doesn't have me, is what he said. And this was in 2018. So this is before Ross was in my life.
Did he say what the third heaven meant? I'm going to have someone come on and help me understand the different levels you probably passed through.
He didn't get into it as far as like, I mean, in other readings, I mean, he was saying that he could share me, because I was with this other guy, Jeff, at the time. I had another reading with him, and he said that, you know, we can share, like, he was saying there's a curtain that he doesn't see. I mean, some of this sounds really hokey when I say it out loud.
Not to my listeners.
Really, like, when I say, I don't want to say anything that like would roll their eyes, you know.
I mean, most people know that I'll go there because I'm so curious about it. I mean, there's so much. I had a conversation with a woman a while back, and she was talking about channeling light beings from other dimensions. And so we got like way into the different dimensions and everything. And everybody loved that episode. They were like, we need more of that. So
oh my gosh,
go for it.
The third heaven, he didn't really go into detail. Like that first reading, I was so blown away. And it was like I said, I was on the phone, and I was trying to be silent because I didn't want to miss a word that he was saying through her. So I'm crying, and I'm emotional, and I'm like completely like, I can't believe what I'm hearing, but like, I can't remember exactly. He lives in they have houses, like he was describing it as like they were houses, but like, if I have another partner, like, you know, like if I remarry, that they can share me, like, and that he doesn't see intimate moments, that there's privacy. I don't know. I have to listen to the second and third readings again and just get more specific. But the stuff that really blew my mind was the stuff about the past life, like that he was in a previous life. He knew his name was Ashki Dijan, and his brother's name was, what was it? Shosh. No, it was Shosh was a black bear. Oh, there's all this crazy stuff. And I know I'm going all over the map.
No. I love this.
Okay. So I'll tell you this one story. So Ibiza was our place. Ibiza, we went there many, many times. We went there, I think 7 times together. And then I went back for an 8th time with his ashes when he died, the summer that he died. And I did a ceremony at this place called Esvedra. It's a rock formation that's a vortex. It's one of 3 vortexes in the world. There's Sedona. Right. There's Esvedra in Ibiza, and then one other, and I can't remember. But so I did a ceremony with a shaman on a catamaran at this rock formation on his birthday, which was July 24th. I did this spread the ashes. And that summer, you know, he had left a bag in Ibiza years prior. He had left a bag. He was in a mental psychotic episode. He thought he was coming back. He left all his stuff in the suitcase. So I finally, 2.5 years later, got the suitcase back, and in it, I want to run and get it for you. But basically, he left this. There was a ring in. Remember he said he was.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of where it is. Let me see if I can find it. Can I run and get it really fast?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, hang on. I think I know where it is.
So for those who are listening, you can actually watch this on YouTube, and you can see the ring she's talking about.
Let me just see if it's in here. Is it here? Yes, it's here. So I have this 1111 purse.
Okay, let me take a picture of this so then I could post it too. So people who don't, I never know how to take pictures.
Well, I don't know. It's not gonna.
Okay. I think I got it.
Okay. So basically,
I have this random thing in the background, so I'm going to need to take it again.
Oh, you want to take it again?
And let me make sure I don't have any other client information stuff on.
Oh God, no. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
You got it?
Let's try this again. Nope. I'm not so good with technology.
Well, I mean, I can just describe it.
Okay. Wait, hold up the 1111. Okay, perfect.
I mean, this is the 1111 bag was given to me by my friend, but this was the wedding ring. You can see this was the wedding band that I found in the pawn shop, but this was the ring that was in this bag that
hold it up. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Ring. So this is this ring that fits my ring finger perfectly. And it's a bear claw. Like it's a bear claw. And he was talking about when his brother, when he was a Native American in a previous lifetime, his brother had, he sacrificed his brother. He took a shosh was attacking the brother, and it was on his hind legs. And basically Christian was this Native American Ashkenazi, and he was distracting the bear. So the bear let the brother go, and the brother was survived, and he died. So he died this death of the bear attacking him. And the brother swore in his next lifetime that he would protect him. He would be there to be there for him. So cut to this ring I found in the bag that he had left in Ibiza was this ring, and it's a bear claw. I didn't know what it was, but it's some sort of
and it symbol. Looks native. Or indigenous. The ring definitely looks indigenous.
I know. So again, to me, it's another sign. It's another, connection. And it was super comforting to me. And I wear this stuff occasionally. I wear it less now because I have Ross, and I touch his stuff all the time. He brought up to the reading with Patricia that, his jewelry, when I wear a piece of his jewelry, he feels so close to me. He comes to me. So I wear his stuff a lot. I hold it, whatever. I mean, these are just, my little things my little quirks that I do that make me feel close to him still. Anyway, I don't think I told the story very well, but
it made perfect sense to me. There was the past life of who he was. There was the ring that you found after when you went to Ibiza that might have actually, it's interesting that there was the ring that you sort of went on this wild goose chase for, but the ring that sounds like was completely in line with that reading was probably this ring.
Possibly. It's all connected, and it all gives me comfort, and it all makes me feel like he's still right here. Like, I think he's right here in this space. And, this house, I found it with him. This was going to be the place where we retired. We were going to build this and live here and then spend part of the time in Ibiza. This was our plan. And so I have pictures of this house under construction. In this room, I have a picture of him with his arms outstretched in the center of this room. And, just so much has happened. So much has happened that he's been here for physically and then not here for, but I still think he's as much here with me today as he was when he was actually alive.
Right. Not here for in body.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, Ricki, this is an amazing story. For everybody who might have missed the beginning, go back and listen, because this is airing on the 14th, Valentine's Day, the day that Christian's body was found. The day that his body was found the 13th, but it was the 13th.
Was when I got the ring on the 14th.
Okay. So when you rediscovered, when you got the ring, the wedding ring that he had tried to pawn.
Yeah.
And then your new love, Ross, proposed on the 14th. So it's just, the synchronicities are just unbelievable in this story. And that this is airing on the 14th, and that we're interviewing on the 7th. There's just so many odd ways that this came together, and you can't I personally can't dismiss it. So if someone else wants to, go ahead, but I am not going to be the one that dismisses it. It's just too synchronistic.
Thank you. And for me, it's a joy for me to keep Christian's memory alive. He was super important to me and helped me to be the best person I am today. I'm the best me I've ever been. And I think a lot of it has to do with his influence, what he taught me, and how he loved me.
Well, Ricki, thank you so much for being so open to sharing your story with us. It's a beautiful story. I think it'll bring so much hope and love, hopefully, on this Valentine's Day. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Pleasure to tell you my story. Thank you.
Like what you heard today and want to hear more? Wondering what comes next and what it all means? Head over to Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere you get your podcasts and hit subscribe. Also, if you could take a minute to rate and review my podcast, I would really appreciate it. Stay tuned as we continue to explore life, death, and the space between.